Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, EmeraldPlanet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the EmeraldPlanet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock from Washington, D.C., bringing you the information that's going on around the globe in 143 nations about the best practices for the environment, economic development, and society. We're going to be talking about a very exciting topic as we look at the new movement that's going on with the automobiles, the automotive industry around the globe, as we prepare for the International Auto Show that's coming to Washington, D.C., and is currently in Detroit. It'll be in other cities around the United States, and of course in many capital cities around the globe. So thank you for being with us. And I have three experts that are going to be talking. The first one is going to be Charlie Stringfellow, who is the chairman and CEO of Brown Automotive Group, and he's the chairman of the International Auto Show.
Yes.
Charlie, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Charlie, you've been in the automobile industry for a number of years. You've seen all the changes that's going on. But this year seems to be a special excitement with all of the alternative fuel and the high fuel efficiency autos that are coming into the city. Tell us a little bit about, as chairman of the International Show, why you decided to go in this direction of, if we can use the term, green cars.
Well, the Washington Auto Show is well positioned because of its venue right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And what better forum to have the latest and greatest in technology from not only the original equipment manufacturers, the manufacturers of the cars we drive today, but to have a lot of the new industry types that are springing up and bringing new alternative fuel and alternative thinking technology to the car industry and helping to improve upon what we have today and what we'll see tomorrow.
Well, I think it's really exciting because knowing Jerry Murphy, who is the president of WNATA, and his family's been involved with the International Auto Show here for many years, to have you as chairman with your expertise and the years of dedicated service that you've had, it's really great that we're moving into this direction of the green automotive industry. So in looking at developing this theme for this year, what are some of the different ideas that you looked at, and how did this show evolve?
Well, the show started out for years and years and years as more or less excuse me, a local show in the December time frame, and gave consumers an opportunity to see the new cars and in that week between Christmas and New Year's, and help the local industry get some momentum for the coming year. But the decision was made several years ago to try to take the show from where it was up to a Tier 1 show, which would put it on the same venue, or the same platform as Detroit, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and even rival some of the international shows.
Such as Beijing, Tokyo, and some of these shows.
Frankfurt, Paris, exactly.
Great, okay.
And with the seat of power here in Washington, the policymakers, the decision makers, and the folks here that will drive what we do in the future, a great opportunity to bring those manufacturers who are building the products and those people in government telling us what we need for the future together in one venue, one forum.
Now, I think it's really fantastic because what you've done is you've taken the automobile industry itself, which is both domestic and international, because you have some 50 companies, I believe, are going to be exhibiting here. And then you have the U.S. Department of EPA, which is Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Energy, and some of the other major departments with the federal government. And then also we have a great number of embassies that are getting involved this year for the first time. So how did you bring all three of these groups together? Foreign embassies and governments, federal government of the United States, and the industry itself?
Well, clearly it was a coordinated effort, but we created what's called the Advanced Technology SuperHighway. And within the auto show itself, there will be a dedicated area of about 65,000 square feet.
And for our international viewers, that's 6,500 square meters, so we'll throw that in.
Thank you. And we have put all of the advanced technology in there, and the area, the 65,000 square feet, will be divided into approximately 9 different areas representing safety, advanced gasoline technology, diesel technology, biofuels, electric technology. All these different technologies will be in different areas, and it'll be clear for both policymakers as well as the public to see them, to learn about them, and talk to the experts who are there, working on the R&D to explain it to everybody.
So you'll have someone there that's from the local area or say within the capital region coming in, maybe looking for something for the family, and right next to them may be an ambassador that's looking at all the other nations' cars and saying, hey, this is what we need to be looking at in Germany because United States, China, India is catching up with what we've been doing for the last 10 or 15 years.
That's right. It is the Washington Auto Show, International Auto Show, is the largest public show in the Washington area. And it is a wonderful opportunity. It's really a family type event, and there's something for everyone. So if you're looking at the latest and greatest in the cars you can drive and buy today, they're there. If you're looking for the cars that you'll be able to drive and buy tomorrow, that technology is there. And if you're looking just to have a good time, the show's a great place to go.
Now, going on the theme of this Advanced Technology SuperHighway, tell us a little bit more about that. And what was the metamorphosis that you went through to actually come up with this particular theme for the current show?
Well, the Advanced Technology SuperHighway today is a collaborative effort between the Washington Auto Show, Department of Energy, Department of Transportation, and the EPA. And it's starting to gel into a more formal format and form for consumers and congressional leaders and the manufacturers. Last year we had something called the Green Car Pavilion, which was a collection of cars and advanced hybrid technology and whatnot for people to see. But this year it's been more formalized and set up in a better, more distinct area than in the past.
Now, as a active car guy, if I can use that term, being with the Brown Auto Group here in Northern Virginia, that's a tremendous responsibility chairing this International Automobile Show. So how do you balance trying to manage a very far-flung business throughout this entire region and then balancing that over with the International Car Show, and what kind of benefits do you think that the entire public will achieve out of having this show here?
Well, having a Tier 1 show, as it's called in the industry here, gives the buying public a great opportunity to see the latest and greatest from the manufacturers. A lot of the displays that will be in the Detroit show will move to Washington. There will be over 35 different vehicles, some of them in the more advanced technology area, that will be displayed here, and they will come directly from Detroit. It is a balancing act. Obviously, it's a time commitment. But the good news is I work with a lot of very talented people who make things happen and who've been here before, and that makes it all worthwhile. Otherwise, I would be reluctant to take on such a task.
Because as chairman and CEO of a very large, far-flung organization, it's tough to give up that much time.
Yes.
Now, looking at incorporating the agencies that you listed from the federal government, which was the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, transportation, and energy. How were you able to bring them, get them involved, and have them as active partners or collaborators in this kind of effort?
Well, we're also working with the folks in the Green Car Journal. Ron Kogan and his group have been very helpful with us, and we've partnered with some other people who will be having conventions concurrent with our show. The Electric Drive Transportation Initiative, the SAE group, Society of Automotive Engineers, will be represented at the show and will be working with us on some of these things. So getting to the right people, and of course getting to the people in government who have a vested interest in the future of transportation and safety in this country, it was a natural fit.
I'm going to show a few of these slides that we talked about, Charlie Stringfellow, right before we started the show. And we'll talk about a few of these automobiles, and then also we're going to be looking at some of the research and design that's been going on around that. So if we can put up the first car as we're looking at this, tell us a little bit about this. I believe this is the Chevrolet Volt, which is taking a lot of attention from President Obama and many others in the administration.
The Chevrolet Volt is a very unique and interesting car. It has gotten a lot of press. It is a gasoline engine alternative with electric motors driving the wheels. So it operates much as a diesel electric locomotive that you see pulling freight trains down the tracks. It's been very well received, and it should be in production very, very shortly.
Now we're looking at an international automobile. This is a Mercedes-Benz. Tell us a little bit about this, if you can.
Mercedes has been very proactive, primarily in the European market, where they've developed a lot of advanced diesel technology, as well as some of the other types that we see. This is the F-Cell car here,
right,
which has the different type of technology.
I think they're using the hydrogen is one of the areas that they're getting at. And I'm going to put up this slide in the backdrop here. As we're looking at the alternative energy, we're looking at the electric through renewable sources. In this particular case here, as far as the Novozymes, they're looking at the whole thing of taking biomass. You can see here Charlie Stringfellow, and trying to produce fuels that will actually come from the United States itself instead of being able to import. So the public and the federal agencies, as they're coming out and involving themselves in this year's International Auto Show, what do you see as an outcome? What's some types of goals and objectives that you would like to have come out of this event?
Well, we want to educate the public as to what's available and what is coming, and give them an idea to voice an opinion about where things are going. We want government and industry also to work together and find ways that are good fits for what we're trying to achieve, which of course is to reduce the dependence on fossil fuels from abroad, and oil, and to improve our lifestyle here with less carbon footprint with the various vehicles.
So we have about 30 seconds left, and I'm going to give you about half of that time so I can get out of this segment and on to the next. What would you like to share with the public in these last 15-20 seconds?
Well, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for the public to come down to the auto show. You can reference it at WashingtonAutoShow.com, www.WashingtonAutoShow.com, and check out the website. Make your plans. The show runs from the 27th through the 31st, and it's a great opportunity.
And look for the alternative fuel cars from the EmeraldPlanet. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to being with you soon.
Osama bin Laden calls getting nuclear weapons a religious duty.
Today, materials that can be used to make nuclear weapons are stored in more than 40 countries.
Sometimes protected by just a chain-link fence.
Yet not enough is being done to lock down these materials
Before terrorists steal them.
Why did we learn all this?
My mother,
My son
My sister-in-law.
were all murdered September 11th.
help protect America.
Together we can.
Please join us.
The stem cell issue is being debated throughout the country. Truth is, most everyone has an opinion, even if they don't know the facts.
Let's stop arguing and start really understanding the potential of stem cell research.
For us and for millions of Americans living with disabilities, get the facts.
Call 1-877-842-3442 for free information from the Stem Cell Research Foundation. That's 1-877-842-3442.
Following the tragic events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty
And justice.
for all.
In America, there's either room for everyone, or it's not America. Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Planning a home renovation? Put this at the top of your to-do list. Because after 10 years, none of you are protected against tetanus and another potentially fatal disease, diphtheria. A minor injury, such as a cut or a scrape, can put you at risk for a tetanus infection. And while safety gear offers some protection, an up-to-date vaccination called the TD Booster is the best insurance against tetanus. So get the TD Booster. If it's been 10, do it again.
best practices of population, so looking at this,
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock in Washington, D.C., United States of America, bringing you the information about what is happening around the globe as far as the alternative fuel and the most fuel-efficient vehicles. As you know from our program, we're looking at the best practices from many different areas, whether it's in agriculture, in health, in education, and many other areas. But one thing that we need to address on a very realistic basis is public transportation. And when we say public transportation, it's both for the family and how they're able to transport their goods and families, and then also for the public in general. And we have a very unique opportunity where the federal government, the embassies, and then also WANADA, which is the Washington Area New Dealership Association, is putting on the International Automobile Show with a special emphasis on alternative fuel and fuel-efficient cars. And this is the first year where you have a real emphasis, a real focus on this. And we have a gentleman here who's been very active in the automobile dealership business, I think before he was actually born, if I understand from his family. He's been at this for a long time. But Kevin Reilly is the general manager and owner of Alexandria Hyundai. Rhymes with Sunday. I remember the old ad. So
absolutely correct.
I passed that test, Kevin. And welcome to the show, the Emerald Planet.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are the next generation, which having started one of the Automobile Dealer Management Association certificate programs many years ago in Virginia, that's taking over from your father, and many companies have 3 and 4 generations involved. And you've seen a lot of change over these years, and particularly with Hyundai itself, and we're going to get to that story. And then also, I should, for full disclosure, he's on the board for the International Auto Show. So we thank you for your dedication, your hard work on that. But tell us a little bit about the changes that you've seen over these years that you've been involved in the industry, from childhood all the way through to right now.
Well, it's interesting as you take a look at perhaps Hyundai, the industry, and the auto show. All 3 of those categories have undergone a metamorphosis. As we take a look at the industry, I started washing Lincoln Town cars back in 1982 when I was 13 years old. So you could see very large cars, very non-fuel efficient vehicles, and you've really seen the technology grow by leaps and bounds, similar to what we see in computers now in terms of the advancement in technology in much shorter time periods. So too do you see that in the vehicles that we now produce, and that's very exciting for the industry.
Well, and one of the things we keep talking about, mature industries, and many people, automobiles and food processing and all that goes right into that. But actually, if you look at what's been going on the last 30 years, is that the automobile industry actually is probably one of the most proactive and most dynamic as far as using new technologies, not only to produce the automobiles, but also what goes into the automobiles. So what kind of change, Kevin, have you seen over these years as far as the technologies producing and the technologies in the automobiles themselves?
Well, and that's where we could dovetail into Hyundai's success in that regard, because really the technologies that you see in these vehicles are consumer driven. The manufacturers are doing an excellent job. We talk about best practices of going out, finding what the consumers want, and how do we incorporate that in a rather short time period into the vehicles to make the driving experience better for them, make a safer vehicle, and ultimately a more fuel efficient vehicle.
Now, looking at the work that you've been doing, of course, this year we have 3 major agencies of the federal government, the EPA, transportation and energy are going to be involved in this, and of course being involved with the board. Also, you have the embassies because many of the countries now, the Germans, the Chinese, the Indians, many others are displaying here. How are you able to tie all this together so it's a coherent whole, and you don't have people competing and saying, "Oh, we're doing this in China," and forget what's going on in the United States, and vice versa? How do you bring all these together so we really are addressing this whole notion of fuel efficiency, alternative fuels, and what's best for the buying public?
Well, I think you can actually see it in the show itself, and I'll answer your question about putting technology on the forefront. Sometimes when you go to shows such as this, the technology component or the fuel efficiency component, those components can be cordoned off in an area not that accessible by the public. When you come to the Washington, D.C. Auto Show, when you come down to the main exhibit area, first and foremost, you're going to see 65,000 square feet of advanced technologies and 50 vehicles representing those advanced technologies and incorporating those advanced technologies. So a consumer, even if they've come there to look at a particular vehicle that they might be interested in, they're going to walk by those 65,000 square feet and become intimately familiar with what's coming in the future.
Now, you've been involved in this whole process, both with the show over the years, because the show goes back, has a very long history. We're going to have the president of this organization come in and talk with us in a bit, and also with your father's work as far as establishing the dealerships in Northern Virginia and the capital region. So you've seen this change, and now you're incorporating for the next generations that are going to be coming into the show. So if I'm a family person and I want to bring my family and I'm going to say, hey son, hey daughter, nephew, niece, this is where we're going in the future. How do they learn from this show so it's a educatable moment?
Yes. Well, as a father of four, I can definitely speak to that. And my children range from ages 8 years old all the way down to 5 weeks.
And they don't escape the show, I bet.
They don't escape the show. Nobody's immune to that. They will all be there. And it's really an exciting show because you use the term educational. It certainly is educational. We can go and show our children what are the advanced technologies out there, how do they affect us, how do they affect our environmental focus, what can we do to make this environment a better place. And then additionally too, it's just plain fun. Maybe for my 2-year-old or my 5-year-old, they can go see Dora the Explorer or Diego and have a good time with them. For parents who have children in strollers, there's 750,000 square feet of space in the DC Convention Center. So that means nice wide aisles. You can take that stroller and push it right down the lane, and the kids have a lot of fun. And for children who are not of driving age, there is no better thrill to get behind the seat, the driver's seat and the wheel of a brand new car.
Now, Kevin Reilly, who is on the board for the International Auto Show, I know you've been working very hard as far as planning all this. And I'm sure you've been interfacing with the manufacturers to make sure that they are imparting this knowledge about what the advances are and how that relates to the future of the automobile industry, but also the American and international publics. How are they looking at this as an educatable moment themselves, and how do you feel they're going to be able to interact with the public that's going to be coming into the show?
Well, in two different ways. We talked about the Advanced Technology SuperHighway, that area, 65,000 square feet that they can go and look at these technologies, but also go to the specific exhibits themselves. Go to the Toyota exhibit, the Ford exhibit, the Hyundai exhibit, the Nissan exhibit, the General Motors exhibit, and those specific exhibits will display their new technologies amongst the cars that they have to sell at that particular moment, and will incorporate a lot of new technology that you can actually purchase and enjoy today.
And I understand that the ones that are there actually representing the different manufacturers are very knowledgeable. Mm-hmm. They know about the new technologies. And of course, this year with the real thrust, the real emphasis on the green technology, if we can use that, Kevin Reilly, is that they're going to have a lot of information, both as far as verbal at the show, but also I would assume printed materials they can take with them.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. If you're an individual looking at a car, maybe it's this year or next year, it's a great way to see all those vehicles, all those technologies in one place. So instead of having to drive dealership to dealership, there really is something about seeing the car up close, sitting inside of it, having a sales professional or product specialist tell you a little bit about the car in a just a very friendly environment there, and a very ease of use environment. You can stroll in and out of one exhibit to the other rather easily.
And it's very relaxed, and it's all day and goes into the evening on each one of the days that it's open.
Yep.
Are printed materials going to be readily available for the public as they come in? Both the buying public and school children, I assume many other groups will be coming in as well.
Certainly, there's no shortage of printed material. One thing you're going to find at the show, you go to a number of exhibits, bags are the hot item in the show. So you will go to many different exhibits, you'll get those bags because there is a plethora of printed material there, so you'll walk away with a lot of information from the show.
And I know many people are saying, well, you know, this is supposed to be environmentally friendly and it's supposed to be green, and yet they're chopping down all the trees. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's just like in education in general, people need to have information. It's not only on the web, on the internet, you know, Twitter and Facebook and these other things. People like to sit down and really look at this and be able to digest and then share it with the next generations.
Oh, absolutely, without question. And then in terms of conservation of paper, you can go to WashingtonAutoShow.com and actually purchase your tickets online and thus save the need for a printed ticket.
And I would assume also we'll have ways for recycling the materials at the show and all those other kinds of good environmental friendly things.
Absolutely.
We're going to have a backdrop here, Kevin Reilly, of some of the new autos that are going to be shown in this 65,000 square feet of fuel efficiency. And I know that this is not the cars that your dealership handles, but tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here just from the concept platform standpoint, not just selling the car itself.
Yeah, and I believe this is the BMW, and this is one example of the electric vehicle out there. You'll see a lot of examples of electric vehicles out there. One thing I do want to note for the viewing public out there, Advanced Technology is not only electric, it's biofuels, it's ethanol, it's a variety of different things, even advanced petroleum. For example, with Hyundai, we have a new gasoline direct inject engine, which can generate up to 200 horsepower, but yet still get 35 miles per gallon on the highway.
Oh, so that's incredible. Now, look, this is looks like a very stylish vehicle we're talking about here. This is something that probably excite the younger generations as they're coming into the show itself.
I believe that's the Ford Focus BEV vehicle, and Alan Mullally will be speaking on our public policy days at the show, and has done a tremendous job with that organization.
We're going to show two more automobiles here. I believe we have a full electric, so these are called zero emissions vehicles.
That's a Nissan Leaf, and that will be there at the public policy day as well.
And the last one, which I believe is a alternative fuel vehicle as well. In the final minutes that we have left, Kevin Reilly of the Alexandria Hyundai, tell us a little bit, or just a few words about what you would like the public to get out of their engagement with the show, and what would the dealers, but also the federal agencies, like to have as a takeaway from this automobile show.
Well, first let's talk about the public.
We have about 30 seconds, so
absolutely.
It's got to be a short answer.
We want them to be entertained and informed. Come to the auto show, have a great time, look at all the new different technologies, bring your children, have them get in and out of the cars, have them get behind the driver's seat in a great time, but walk away there knowing more about those vehicles you may purchase and more about what the auto industry is doing to make the world a better place.
And then looking at the alternative fuels, we want them to be able to walk away and say, hey, we really are trying to bring change to the globe. We're trying to use alternative renewable fuel sources, and this is a good thing for everyone.
Oh, without question.
Well, we'd like to thank you for being with us. Kevin Reilly, who is the manager-owner of Alexandria Hyundai, being here with us, and also he is on the board for the International Auto Show. But what we're trying to bring you is emphasis and the thoughts and the technologies and the processes that's going to be changing the future here, right now, but also as we go out towards 2025, 2050, and moving into the 21st century. Thank you for being with us.
Too many women get hit by their boyfriends and husbands. Too many women are pressured into having unprotected sex. Half of the people in the world living with AIDS are women. It doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can change this reality. Let's strive for a world free of violence.
At Volunteers of America, we don't just give kids a way to stay off the streets. We give them the tools they need to reach their full potential. We don't just help the elderly receive needed care. We help them live life to the fullest. We don't just provide food for homeless individuals and families. We provide job training and placement so they can buy groceries. Volunteers of America is a national organization that for over 100 years has provided programs and services that allow people to overcome their challenges to become vital members of their community. At Volunteers of America, we don't just help people, we help people help themselves. Find out how you can support the programs that are working in your community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
Drivers face all kinds of distractions.
Guys, stop playing, no?
Before your wireless phone becomes one of them, stop. Drive safely. Keep your phone in easy reach and dial sensibly. In bad weather or traffic, call later and use a hands-free device. Remember, with wireless, safety is your call.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Thank you. Dr. Sam Hancock from Washington, D.C. with the EmeraldPlanet as its President and Executive Director. As you know, in these various programs, we're looking around the globe in 143 nations, looking for the best practices, and we keep talking about natural resources and forestry, agriculture, healthcare, education, and many of the other areas that are needed to bring quality of life for the 6.5 billion citizens around the globe. Much of our emphasis has been on that 2 billion, 1/3 of the Earth's population, that are actually left out of this whole process. But we're talking about a very special entity called the International Auto Show. And we're using that as a backdrop for a number of different best practices from the United States and around the world. And we have one of the founders, and the gentleman's been involved for many generations here. Actually, he's the third generation in all this, with WANATA, which is the Washington Area New Automobile Dealers Association. Jerry, I'm looking at that so I can spit all that out. But Gerard N. Murphy, who is the president of this, and also is the head of the International Auto Show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Jerry and I know each other through Rotary International, which we will have to work that into our conversation here, Jerry. But tell us a little bit about WANATA, the history of it, and then we'll talk about the International Auto Show itself.
Well, WANATA, the Auto Dealer Association, as you point out, I've been involved in it through my family for some time. 3 generations, as you say, my grandfather and my father.
You look good after 100 years or so.
Yes, thank you. I try to keep my beard colored, you know, so it's not quite as white as it would otherwise be. How'd I do?
You did a pretty good job, and I think the viewers out there will attest to that. But welcome.
But the auto show, WANATA, that began in 1917, right after I guess right in the midst of the First World War, when America was in that, began doing auto shows in the District of Columbia, and we've been doing them ever since.
That's amazing, all the way back to 1917. Now,
Yes,
how
indeed.
could you sustain that momentum through all those years? Because if you think about of all the wars that we've had,
Right.
all the calamities, the Great Depression,
Right.
I mean, you guys have just plowed through all of history.
Well, it never dawned America's love affair with the car. I mean, America clearly has had that love affair, which isn't to say that, you know, they haven't had them in Europe, and they're beginning to have them in all parts of Asia. But clearly, you know, Americans and their cars are a very special relationship.
Now, talking about this special relationship with the International Auto Show, this is going to be unique this year.
Yes,
Because
indeed.
not only you're bringing in all the manufacturers with their advanced technologies and the alternative fuel,
Right.
but also you have 3 major agencies of the federal government involved.
Right.
You have a number of embassies because they're trying to get their automobiles and their specialists and engineers and all that here to interact in the United States.
Let's not leave out the United States Congress.
Oh, and the United States Congress.
They got their hands full right now with other things, but they're going to be there too.
Okay, but how were you able to pull all of this together? I mean, this is a huge feat. Even though you've been around almost 100 years, still, that's a lot of coordination to do all this.
Well, Washington is the seat of power, as we like to say in our promotions, but it's also, you know, the capital, arguably, of the world. And, you know, it's public policy. I mean, this is where public policy is made. Agency-made policy, congressional policy. So, you know, the fact that you have an international auto show in town has got the industry enthusiastic about coming to Washington with the latest and the greatest, and that's what they've done. You heard in your other segments about the Advanced Technology SuperHighway that we have, which is...
That's the theme for this year.
Yes. It's actually I guess maybe about 8% of the overall auto show. I mean, there's like, 10 acres of new vehicles down there, but in 65,000 square feet, I guess that's like an acre and a half of it. I didn't think I knew that, did you?
No, I didn't. I'm impressed.
Don't
because
look,
I was about ready to ask that.
Don't look much like a farm boy, but and I'm not. But anyway, the beard, I guess. But 65,000 square feet of pure advanced technology. I mean, you're going to have, there's at least 50 vehicles that'll be on display there. There's going to be infrastructure, really, for the first time. At a major auto show, where you're going to be able to see, not just what an electric car is, but how do you fuel that?
The recharging stations and all the basic infrastructure goes along with that.
And there's you mentioned at the outset the international aspects of it. We've even gone down to the rainforest in South America. The Brazilian sugarcane industry is going to be here because they're getting into the the ethanol side of things.
Right. And that's a very fuel-efficient way of actually producing the alternative fuels
for
automobiles through the sugar cane because it's fast-growing,
right.
Very dense,
right.
And of course, I believe you're going to have the Nova enzymes that are going to be here, and
yes.
they're one of the leaders as far as taking this, what they call biomass, and converting that into fuel for these alternative fuel cars.
Right, absolutely. And just regular old electricity. Electric cars are no longer something where you think, gee, I can only go as far as the extension cord will let me. You're going to be able to plug these things right into your garage. And same with, they're even talking about natural gas cars, where you can work out the same thing with your natural gas provider.
And also I believe they're going to be hydrogen here. But looking at this, the public policy aspects of this, Jerry Murphy, bringing the Congress in to be a part of this. The convention center, of course, is right downtown, not very far from the Capitol Hill itself. So you'll have not only the Congress persons there and all their staffs, but also a number of lobbyists. So how are you shaping all of this so that they really understand where we need to go in the future, how America can wean itself from this dependency on imported foreign fuel, and to make us much more energy efficient?
Well, the Congress, if you want to oversimplify it, is the auto industry's de facto partner in automotive design, and they have been for a good long time.
So not just in these last days as far as the bailout and stimulus monies and all that?
No, not at all. It goes way back, before that. You've got regulatory agencies that are devoted, certainly to energy and clean environment, automotive safety. They all come to bear on the automobile. So it only makes sense that the automobile industry would relish an opportunity and embrace an opportunity to strut their best pose, if you will, in front of the regulators and the lawmakers, and that's exactly what this show does.
I'm going to say this must be a real coup for Winata to be the linchpin to bring all this together.
It's exciting.
And I'm not overblowing this at all because the public, I think, has a sense, and certainly these international governments have a sense of what Winata has done as far as putting all this together. How do you see this leadership evolving from the local dealerships that's rising up out of your trade association to bring all these disparate groups together and make them listen to each other?
Well,
that's amazing.
Well, right. The auto dealers, I mean, any auto show is designed to excite the public's imagination about buying cars. And the Washington car market is one of the strongest, certainly in the U.S. So that's, job one, if you will. But then as far as bringing people together, because it is a global auto industry. It's no longer a domestic and a foreign auto industry.
And it's not them versus us. It's all melded together.
It's all melded together, and you can see that with what's going on with Ford Motor Company right now. What's going on obviously with Chrysler and Fiat right now. General Motors, sending Buicks over to China. Toyotas and Hondas being built, down in the southeast in Tennessee and South Carolina, places like that. So it's very much a global auto industry, and being here in Washington, we have an incredible opportunity. We, the dealer association that produces the Washington Auto Show, to provide the platform, the stage, if you will, for this showcase.
Now, you're third generation in all this. That means granddaddy and pops
Right.
was involved in this whole thing.
Right.
And many times you have, when it gets to third or fourth generation, people get tired. They're saying, what the heck? We're well established. Why worry about it? But here you are, you're embarking on this new venture to bring, not only the manufacturers, the dealers, and others, but you're bringing in the Congress, you're bringing in the lobbyists, you're bringing in these international governments.
Well,
that's a lot of work, and that takes some vision, Jerry Murphy.
Yes, well, it is a lot of work, but it's great work. You can kind of mold your own clay, with this kind of an endeavor. It's different every year. I mean, this year is different from last year with respect to putting together this show. You saw a couple of the gentlemen that are part of the planning committee, for this effort, who are very forward thinking in terms of being able to grasp the the globalness of the auto industry and what it means to have it here in Washington, and that makes it all worthwhile.
Well, I think we're blessed to have forward leadership from Oneida itself in the form of Jerry Murphy, who is a good Rotarian, along with me and the Rotary Club of Washington, D.C.
We always have to mention Rotary, don't we?
Absolutely. We've got to put that in. But we're going to bring up a couple of cars, and it's not that Jerry Murphy is going to tell us all about these cars, but these are just a little backdrop here. If we can bring up these last automobiles, I guess this is looking at a plug-in hybrid. What's a plug-in hybrid? Not from the technology point of view, Jerry Murphy, but
well,
just how does it work?
It means it's a little bit of both. I guess the easiest way to think of it, and not that I'm anything like an engineer, I'm not. I flunked that course. But as far as that's concerned, it's both a gasoline engine and an electric powertrain. That isn't right. Powertrain's the transmission,
right.
but anyway, engine,
power
source. Thank you.
There you go.
And with that, you can, in other words, when it can, it'll actually cut the engine out and go on electric.
Now, looking at this WeGo, this all-electric, we're looking at a very small vehicle here, and this is going to be one of the best practices that's going to be at the show. And
that's a wonderful car, by the way. This is the first time they've got
this WeGo.
This WeGo. They've actually gotten this to the point where it can get some range. It used to be that it was more like a golf cart to the extent that you weren't able to go as far. Now you can really get a couple hundred miles out of it. I think. Don't hold me to that.
We got about
go a long way.
Got about 30 seconds left. Jerry Murphy of Oneida here in Washington D.C. What do you want to share with the viewers, both here and internationally?
This auto show is going to have a lot of exciting stuff in it. It's a great opportunity for consumers to come down and see everything that the international auto industry has to offer. It's a great opportunity for members of Congress and regulators to come down and see what the auto industry is all about.
Well, thank you for being with us on the EmeraldPlanet. And as you know, the name of this, the EmeraldPlanet, is exactly what we're working on to bring about through the best practices, both here and abroad, as we combine domestic and the international together. Hello from the EmeraldPlanet.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs or to make a tax-free donation, contact cfrip at AOL.com.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America and Reading is Fundamental.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet, a show that's looking around the globe in 143 different nations, looking for the best practices and technologies, the processes and the services that is bringing a higher quality of life, but at the same time is trying to avoid, maybe even reverse, the ill effects of violent climate change. And we have a very exciting event that's happening in Washington, D.C. It's bringing together the federal agencies, the embassies from a number of different countries, the automobile industry itself, and the public. And this is called the International Auto Show. We have three experts in a panel that's going to be with us. And we have Charlie Stringfellow, who is the chairman CEO of the Brown Automotive Group and is chairman of the Washington Auto Show. We have Kevin P. Reilly, who's been involved since he was in diapers. I think his mom and dad won't mind me saying that. General manager and owner of Alexandria Hyundai. And then Jerry N. Murphy, who is the reincarnation of two earlier generations with no gray in his beard or his hair, with WANADA, which is the Washington Area Automobile Dealers Association. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Charlie, as the chairman of the International Auto Show, give us a little history of the genesis of the show itself and how this year it's become, really, it's morphed way beyond just the automobiles and the technology, but we're really looking at both domestic and international policy in this entire effort. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's right, Sam. The show started years ago, like so many shows, as a local show for dealers to encourage the public to come out and buy cars, usually in the winter months when business is slow, and then to give a little jump start to the coming year. But this show has taken on a new meaning and a new role, and that is to put itself on the international scene and be at the same level as the other big shows around the country and around the globe.
You know, list some of those cities. We had talked about this in one of our earlier segments about the shows here in the United States and overseas. Let's list a few of those. It's quite an impressive pedigree of what you have going there.
Well, here in the United States, the big show for years has been the Detroit Auto Show. The Los Angeles Auto Show, the New York Auto Show, and Chicago have been the main shows, and we are at the level of parity with them now, with the public policy segment that only Washington can have. On an international scene, you have the Tokyo Show, the Beijing Show, Frankfurt, and Paris are four of the bigger shows around the globe. I
tell you, it's fantastic because that's keeping very good company. And Jerry Murphy, who is the president of the WANADA, which is the Washington Area New Automobile Dealers Association. Man, that wears me out just having to spit that long name out. You got to get something a little shorter than that, Jerry. We know each other from some other activities going on in the community, but looking at this whole policy emphasis, this is, of course, coming organically out of WANADA itself. And what's the vision for that? I mean, this is not something that's just a small little thing that you do over the weekend and all of a sudden this big, gigantic show pops up.
Well, Washington is capital of the world, and we've been working on that concept for some time. And because it is what it is, not just America, but Washington is the capital of the world. This is where public policy is made that affects automotive design with the Congress and with the agencies. So it only makes sense to have an auto show in town that focuses on public policy. The public policies that Congress makes, the public policy that the federal agencies make. NHTSA, Department of Energy, EPA, all the ones that come to bear on the auto industry.
Now, many people don't realize that the ones that live here certainly do, but there's about 168 plus embassies
Yes,
that are
indeed.
located here. And to have this kind of international emphasis and international thrust, unless you're getting involved with the ambassadors and the consul generals from the business and environment and economy and all that in these embassies, you're not able to do this. So how are you able to coordinate all of this? I mean, this really is international.
Well, to give you, for instance, Germany, German ambassador has been involved in our show in the past, to the extent that Germany, the German auto industry, the European auto industry, has an interest in making sure that Congress and the federal agencies understand that clean diesel is a good approach. I think 70% of the fleet over in Europe is clean diesel. You don't have anything like that in this country. One reason for that is infrastructure. There's not the amount of fueling stations that have the clean diesel alternative, and that has to do with a lot of where Congress is in their thinking and where the agencies are. The Europeans are making the case that should change. I think they're right.
Now, Kevin Reilly, you've been involved literally since babyhood, so I was not being facetious when I was talking about the diaper reference earlier, because you're taking over the dealership from your father, Alexandria Hyundai, but also very much involved with the planning of the International Auto Show. So looking at it from the standpoint of Hyundai, not to promote that particular brand, but as a best practice, what are the changes that you've seen over the last 20, 30 years as far as this company, what it's gone through, and what do you see as the thrust for the future?
Well, it's interesting because I think you can parallel the Washington Auto Show, the growth that it's experienced over the 20-some years I've been involved in it, back since 1987. And I sold my first Hyundai, a Hyundai XL, back in 1987. It was a 1.6-liter carbureted engine that got 68 horsepower. And the quality just wasn't there. And then in 1999, Chairman Chung really had a focus on quality, computer-aided design, manufacturing, and you saw a car company go from about 90,000 units in the U.S. in 1998 to 435,000 units just last year. So a tremendous metamorphosis that really came out of quality, that came out of technology, design, and advanced technologies that you will see here exhibited on the show. And I think that's really the opportunity for all manufacturers, because it's a way a consumer can become reacquainted with different brands and say, well, I didn't realize they did that. I didn't realize General Motors had this type of styling or design, or Toyota had this particular type of technology.
Now, Kevin Reilly, talking about the technologies, many people think of the technology as what's in the car itself and what they're going to see in the showroom that Jerry and his group has brought to us. But actually, it's the technology actually producing these vehicles that's equally as amazing, maybe even more amazing than the vehicle itself. How have you seen that technology change in actually producing the automobiles over these 20-plus years that you've been involved, Kevin?
Well, we could do a whole show, I think, on Hyundai's plant in Alabama. You have $1.5 billion plant down there that has won numerous awards in terms of the advanced technologies incorporated there, just-in-time parts delivery to that particular manufacturing facility, the way in which the cars are put together, all leading to a higher quality product. So, yes, you're exactly right. Not only the quality in the vehicle and the technology in the vehicle, but in the plant itself to generate that quality product.
Well, Charlie Stringfellow, as the chairman and CEO of the Brown Automotive Group, you've seen tremendous change over your years. I think you've been around a little more than 20 in this industry. Also, you're the chair of the Washington International Auto Show. What are you seeing as far as the technological changes, say, over the last 30-plus years that you've been involved in this industry? And what changes are the people participating this year going to really see among all these vehicles?
Well, just as Kevin pointed out, the strides that Hyundai have made in the production of the car, the quality of the process to build the car, is something that all manufacturers are doing now.
And you can mention some of your the different brands that you have. That's okay.
Well, we represent a lot of the Asian brands: Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mazda, Subaru, et cetera, and Hyundai. And we see the quality of the product improving. The life cycle of the engines is much greater than it's ever been. You know, it used to be 100,000 miles, and you needed a major rebuild or you needed a new car. Nowadays, 100,000 miles an hour, 100,000 mile service interval is nothing but a service interval on a car.
So you're seeing tremendous change again in the technologies actually being used to produce the cars.
To produce the cars, corrosion used to be a horrible problem with the cars 20, 30 years ago. You hardly ever see a car with rust anymore. So the tremendous improvements in the fit and the finish, the quality, the longevity, the reliability, the durability of the cars. The average car on the road today is approaching 10 years old. So it's the oldest the fleet has been since World War II.
So the longevity is definitely there. Jerry Murphy, going back to Wanata, and as a good old non-farm boy, you informed me that the 65,000 square feet is about roughly an acre and a half, and I am a farm boy, and I didn't even know that, so I was quite impressed with those numbers.
I made them up.
Sounds good to me. So how were you able to put all this together, 65,000 square feet? That's no small space.
Well, there was a piece of Camp Jeep that's not there anymore, so it opened right up for us. But it is a goodly chunk of space. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 8% of the overall floor space. It's on 2 levels down there. But it makes sense because it gives the automakers an opportunity to put their best foot forward. In addition to the exhibit space that they're going to have down at the show, it also gives an opportunity for the allied industries to come in and show things like infrastructure, which is important as far as consumers are concerned, as far as policymakers are concerned. In other words, it's great to have electric cars, natural gas cars,
and hydrogen, and all the other alternatives.
But what is the infrastructure? Where are you going to go to fuel these things? These are the questions that people are now asking. Public policy makers are asking that. So that was pretty much a motivator for us, to set up this space. We've also got some safety innovations down there too.
Okay. Jerry, Charlie Stringfellow, looking at this as far as the policy for the International Auto Show itself, we're about out of time. Tell us a little bit about why you wanted to put all these policy makers and the embassies and the manufacturers and the dealers and everyone together, and we have about 15 seconds to answer that very complex question.
Well, it is a wonderful venue to do that. As Jerry mentioned earlier, this is Washington, D.C. There is no other place on the planet where you could bring these forces, these people with the power to make decisions in one place, and Washington is the logical place to do that.
Jerry Murphy, one last parting shot on the International Auto Show, its importance, and why people should show up.
Well, it's a great place to see it all.
And what about you, Kevin? What do you think?
It's a lot of fun and it's very educational.
And bring your
children.
Okay,
Absolutely bring your children.
Very good. Thank you very much for being with us. This is the EmeraldPlanet coming to you from Washington, D.C. as we look at the various international topics for the technologies, the processes, and the services, and a broad range of topics that will bring us towards creating the EmeraldPlanet. We look forward to being with you again soon. Thank you for being with us.